Smriti Mandhana.
National crush.
Hello and welcome to the seventh episode of All Things Cricket by the Twelfth Man. I'm your host, Ujjwal Sachdeva, and today we have with us someone really special. We've seen her bring to us extraordinary content at the 2019 World Cup and the 2020 Women's World Cup. An engineer turned broadcaster who's not just brought us multiple exclusive interactions, but also we've seen her every Monday bringing us new and exciting trivia. We have with us none other than Ridhima Pathak. Welcome, Ridhima. It is an honor to have you on the show.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So, Ridhima, we plan to do this in three segments. The first segment will be about you and sports journalism in general. The second segment will be about Indian cricket, and we'll end with a quick fun rapid fire. So we can start whenever you say.
Done. Let's go for it. Let's do this.
Okay. So I'll start with my first segment. My first question to you is about you. So you've said this multiple times, and in multiple stories we've read this, that you were a sports broadcaster by chance, and you got this opportunity by accident. So I want to know what that is, and I want you to tell us your story.
Well, it did actually happen by chance because I had finished my engineering and I was working with an American firm. I was campus hired there, and it so happened that I wanted to quit my job, and I quit my job. And then I actually, so during my engineering, I did a lot of events. I hosted a lot of events
Yeah.
and did a lot of voiceovers. So once I quit my job, I wanted to go apply for my MBA. I'd given my GMAT and everything. Then I wanted to survive in Pune because dad was posted out of Pune. So I was like, okay, no, I need a job back. So I kind of was confused in life like that. And I went to this friend of mine, and he was a real estate guy. And I said, dude, I'm looking for a job for the timing because I'm preparing for my MBA. So would you help me out? He's like, sure, I'll give you a job. But before that, I have organized a cricket league at the Pune club, and I'm looking for an anchor. And I've heard your voice and it's great. And, I think you'll pick it up and you should do it. And I was like, okay, I'll do it for the job. So I went and I did. My mother is a cricket fanatic. She trained me in cricket. I saw a lot of videos and how the whole presenting is done. I went there. They liked it. And then they gave me, this was on the 26th of Jan on the Republic Day. And then in the month of Feb, they were doing an entire league for a week. And they gave me that as well. So I did that, and there was a few people, some very renowned journalists who were there, there as like to give away the awards. And one of them said, "Why don't you go audition?" And that's how it started.
That's really great. So my next question to you is that you being a broadcaster for quite some time now, and not just in cricket, we've seen you in multiple sports. So you're someone who knows exactly what is required. And as you tell us, you started from the basic club cricket level and you've reached to this point. So for someone who is budding to be a sports journalist, a sports broadcaster, what would be your piece of advice to them?
Well, the only piece of advice that I will have for budding sports journalists is that take the sport very seriously. I mean, you really have to have some profound knowledge of the sport and the players and the changing rules and the changing times that we're living in. So that's another dimension that's been added to the whole thing. So I think knowledge is the key, and content is king. So nothing will beat that. So I think that is the only important part. And I would like to tell this to everybody that अगर आप पढ़ने लिखने से भाग रहे हो और आप स्पोर्ट्स में आ रहे हो then मत आओ because यहाँ पे बहुत पढ़ना पड़ता है. So yeah, yeah. That was like this is the only advice I'll have for them. And when it comes to presenting, then there are a lot of people to watch. But the thing about presenting is that every presenter has its own unique way of presenting. So
Yeah.
don't try and copy anybody. I think that one thing that you could probably learn from people is the professional ethics, and sports is a great place to learn professional ethics because that also takes you a long way here. So that you could probably learn from, broadcasters, and you could learn from other presenters or from cricketers for that matter. But your style should be your own.
Okay, that's great to know. And my next question to you is that the fact that you've interviewed multiple personalities, and when I say multiple personalities, say for example in your Instagram live during the lockdown, it was not just cricket; it was the film industry, and it was so many different personalities in so many different fields. So, as someone who is hosting them, or as someone who is the presenter, do you prepare for it in a different way? Is there a different mindset that you enter with, or is the mental process the same?
No, your research has to be different because you kind of if you're interviewing say a filmmaker versus a cricketer, your research will be totally different,
Yeah.
and it has to be even current. Sometimes say if I have a guest who's made news very recently, for example, if I was interviewing David Warner, I would want to really talk to him about his TikTok videos that were going really viral on
Yeah.
Instagram and stuff like that. So that's just your research that you do. So the
Great.
mindset of presenting remains the same. How you want to, the kind of questions that you'd probably want to target, so that audience you kind of grasp your audience as well. But other than that, your research is different. So the mindset and the style remains the same, but I think the research is very different. And even in terms of cricket itself or any sport for that matter, from the player to player, your research differs. So yeah, it is a little different.
So even in the same field, but with different players as well, you need to be very thorough, is what you say, right?
Yeah, yeah. Everybody
Makes
has their
sense.
own thing going on. So yeah.
Yeah, you need to pick that up. Agreed. So another question that I have for you is that you were at the World Cup last year and you were at the World Cup this year as well in the Women's World Cup. So in a nation like India, so in where we're so high on sentiment, and especially when it comes to cricket, everything is there. And in a World Cup, it's a tournament where every Indian who knows cricket, who knows the sea of cricket, will be watching every match. So does it become an added pressure when you're reporting high tension games, say an India Pakistan game, or say the India New Zealand semi final last year, the India Australia final this year? Does it become an added pressure? Is there some sort of line that you think this cannot be crossed?
See, interestingly, there should have been a lot of pressure on me. But the fact that I had done so much live TV before going into the World Cup, because I covered the NBA for Sony,
Yeah.
and that is 4 a.m. I go in the studio at 4 a.m. You're half sleepy, you're half groggy, and you put on a hair and makeup, and then you sit in the studio and you've done your research, and because you're so sleepy, sometimes you keep forgetting what you've done. So I think the fact that I have done shows for 3 seasons now, like that, kind of really helped me during the World Cup, because that is also a lot of pressure, that kind of circumstance to be in. So that kind of helped me. But you see, a World Cup is a World Cup, and when you talk about it, India, Pakistan, and the fans, the audience, the whole charisma of the situation, the energy, of course, that fills you with a lot of adrenaline, and that you need to control before you go live. I think that is the challenge, rather than for a person who had done a lot of live TV before. So I wouldn't say it was nervousness; it was a lot of excitement that needed to be controlled. So I think that was my challenge.
You've also brought us that excitement through interacting with so many fans during the
Thank you, thank you. It came out very naturally. The fans just gave me that excitement.
That's good. I'll move to the second segment about Indian cricket. So my first question to you is about throughout all of these years, what is your favorite Indian cricket moment?
Indian cricket moment. Uh, I think my favorite Indian cricket moment was, my very first interview at the Cricket World Cup. Was with the captain himself, Virat Kohli.
Yeah,
I think I'm never going to be able to forget that moment with the trophy just next to. So I had
yeah,
done that interview right after the media bite, and all the captains were there, and I attended that entire session. And there was this young child who asked a very interesting question to Virat, and watching that was amazing. And then I continued with that question in my interview with him. So yeah, I think I'm never going to be able to forget that moment, because also it was quite my claim to fame moment. So yeah, that was my favorite moment.
okay. And my next question to you is about women's cricket in particular. So over the last few years, quite fortunately, we've seen a gain in women's cricket and how the sport has been coming into the India, not just India, but globally as well. So, according to you, what do you think is required to ensure that women's cricket continues on this path and perhaps becomes as big as the sport is now for men? And not just, again, not just in India, but globally, how do you see it?
You see, the way the Indian women cricket team performed during the 2020 T20 World
Yeah.
Cup. I think they had it all till
Yeah.
the last match. So I would just say a World Cup. That big winning hat. I think that is what's required. Other than that, I think they've got it all.
That's true. And I hope that's really coming soon.
Yeah,
So my next question to you is about the other segments of cricket. So women's cricket has fortunately gained popularity, but say in 2019, India ended up winning the physically challenged World Series, but it went practically unnoticed. And similar to that, the blind cricket segment, the wheelchair cricket segment, these segments of cricket get little to no importance. So being a broadcaster, how do you think this notion can be changed, and what can be done towards it?
I'd like to cover them all. So if the broadcasters, if this that's what I can do, I'd like to cover it all of it. I had been through the Asian Games in 2018, and the same thing that you're mentioning, that certain aspects of sports, why only these aspects of cricket? A lot of other sports as well
Agreed.
that kind of go a little unnoticed, right? But I have to tell you, the amount of fun and excitement I had watching our track and field athletes, I just want to do it all. And if I could add that little, I'm not sure if I've reached that level in my career yet, but if I could add anything in these aspects, I'd love to cover it all. That's that's all I can say.
Okay, and there is a segment of our blog where cricket enthusiasts send in topics that they would like to be discussed with those upcoming on the show. So we have two questions for you. And the first one of them is, which team do you think has the best squad heading into the IPL this
This is a crazy question right now. Actually, the fact that it's gone to UAE, I think there's nothing that's remained same. Everything has
year?
changed like
Exactly.
everything else,
Yeah.
right? See, my first answer to this would be Mumbai Indians, but unfortunately, Mumbai Indians only win on odd numbers. So it's 2015, and it is like that. So ideally, they're supposed to win in 2021. So
2021.
2020 is out of question for them. So if we stick by that superstition, so Mumbai Indians is out of question right now. Then I would go to KKR. The fact that they've added the World Cup winning captain Owen Morgan and Pat Cummins, and the fact that is happening in UAE and KKR. So I think it should be KKR. I'm hoping it's KKR. Yeah.
That's good. And one more question that we have for you. It's not really about Indian cricket, but then it's a question for you. So, what do you make about the English pace attack in the test matches? And how do you see the Broad Anderson partnership keeping up and sustaining in the coming years?
Well, it is a formidable partnership, isn't it?
Yeah,
But the thing is that time is an opponent that will always win in the end. That's the issue. So, and we've seen the, baton being passed to Wokes, uh, Archer. So I'm not sure how many tests will they play in against Pakistan. Um, but that's the thing that, and it is an era which is in a transitional phase. So not sure how much we can comment on it, but at the end of the day, time does win. So we'll figure out, I think.
it's a transition. Yeah. Okay, that's it for our second segment as well. We'll move to our rapid fire segment. Rules are the same. You have to say the first slash the first thing that comes into your head. So my first
Sure.
question to you is the funniest moment related to cricket on or off the field that you've experienced.
Well, it is not related to cricket, but I will still tell you as a
Of
sports
course.
broadcaster.
Yeah.
I was hosting the show for the NBA, the Around the Hoop, the show that I host. So what happened is that it was one day before Christmas or one day before 31st. I don't know. It was just coincidental, and I said that let's get up for the battle, and then I had to throw it to the game. I instead of battle said, let's get up for the bottle. And I didn't even have the time to cover it up. So I think that was really funny. That was like my producer just texted me and said, bottles, really? Like, so yeah, that was quite funny.
Yeah. And my next question to you is, who is your favorite cricketer in the current Indian men team and the women team?
Women's team is Rodriguez, Jemima Rodriguez,
Yeah.
and Indian men's team, it would be Virat Kohli, MS Dhoni, Jasprit Bumrah. I think these three, I will go with three of them. Yeah,
Okay.
damn good.
Okay. My next part is a simple this or that. So my first one to you is Virat Kohli or Rohit Sharma.
Uh, as a fan, maybe Virat Kohli. Yeah,
Okay. And between Saurav Ganguly and Mahendra Singh Dhoni.
you cannot make that choice. You just cannot make that choice. Yeah,
Right. And for you, is it cricket or is it basketball that takes the first priority?
cannot make that choice. Just cannot make that choice.
Okay.
But
I
I
might.
would go for basketball. So let me answer this. I'll say basketball for the simple reason that that is the sport that got me introduced to like a huge audience, and that is where I've trained my horses. So yeah,
Makes sense. Okay. You
yeah.
might have another cannot answer. Can you choose between the ICC Cricket World Cup 2019 and 2020?
I choose ICC. Moving on.
Oh, okay. And
ICC for both. Yeah,
okay, last one in this segment. You prefer doing sports quiz with Ritz or the sports quiz with Ritz?
quiz with it.
Okay.
It's got
My
more
next,
element of fun in. Yeah.
yeah, agree. So my next question is, after having all of these interactions, who do you think is the easiest cricketer to interact with and get along with on field?
I think the whole of New Zealand team. They are just brilliant. That entire Black Caps, that entire crew, everyone there is amazing. Yeah,
Okay. And the smartest cricketing brain, in your opinion?
MSD.
MST. And the biggest influence on your career as a broadcaster?
There have been many, but I can say Harsha Bhogle, Alan Wilkins, Ian Bishop, Ian Bishop a lot. Yeah.
Okay. So my next one is that if you could share the camera with one commentator for the rest of your broadcasting career, who would you want to pick?
Oh my God. If I had to share the camera with only one commentator, oh, I would go with Ian Bishop. Ian
In
Bishop.
Bishop, that's great.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
next question is about your pick, the team that you think will lift the trophy this year. I think you answered this, so you want it to be
Yeah.
KKR, right?
Yeah. So if Mumbai Indians uh, can change that whole, alternate year kind of a system that they've been doing, so maybe Mumbai Indians, but other than that, I think it's KKR.
Yeah. Okay. And I'll say five things. You have to just tell me the first thing that comes to your mind when I say them. Okay. So
Okay.
the first one is Virat Kohli.
Stylish batsman.
The Indian Premier League,
Festival.
Smriti Mandhana.
National crush.
Sports quiz with Ritz.
Um, great interaction with the audience.
And women's cricket.
Uh, watch out for them.
Definitely watch out for that. Okay, so I just like to end with one question. So after all of this and all of your story, I just want to know that what is cricket for you in one word? And rather, if you would put it that way, what is sport for you in one word since you cover multiple sports?
Sport is a way of life. Cricket is a dream. I would just like.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's great. So thank you so much for having spared the time to do this. Is there anything you would like to say to me or your fans or the audience of the show? Anything that you would like to put across?
Well, I'd just like to say during these times, I'm sure everybody's just at home and just as, kind of getting frustrated, kind of getting a little bored. But all I can tell you that treat this year as your sabbatical year. Learn something superbly nice at your home. Stay safe because you don't really have the onus of your own security, but also of the people who are surrounded by you. So yeah, I'd just like to tell them stay safe, take it as a sabbatical year and learn as much as you can. And I'll see you on the field someday.
Thank you so much for that. I mean, it means a lot coming from you. And it has been a very good privilege to get to interact with you and know your opinion. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you. Thank you. Anytime. Thank you.